We will get some nuggets, though, from ACC Football Media Day. Here, we're live in Charlotte today, tomorrow, and Friday. Tim Donnelly and Dennis Cox holding down the fort for us. Clearly, it sounded like someone dropped a tray of plates behind our guys. You guys had an early start today. Tim, let's get you to lead off first. As you arrive, you get word that you have to sit down with former Duke quarterback, now Miami quarterback, Darian Mensah, and you'll have that conversation with him later today. But I know everybody's talking to him this morning, and he's already revealing things, and things are coming out. So in the conversation that you had with him, the one biggest takeaway that you had so far that you can kind of wrap your head around?
He didn't shy away from anything, and he's actually sitting at the table right across from me right now, so he's gonna hear my my scouting report on it. But I often joke that I could start a business and just I'd call it 10 minutes to the podium, and it would just be have athletes call me 10 minutes before they have to do interviews or press conferences, and I could advise them on how to handle things, and it would avoid them, sticking their foot in their mouth. He pretty much, as much as I wanted to be mad because I don't love the way it ended, in the triangle, and I wanted to hold it against him, he handled it very similarly to how I would advise someone to handle it. He was honest. He answered the questions I had, and is willing to live with the consequences of his decisions.
Okay, so the first question you asked him was what?
Why are you not at Duke anymore? What happened? In some form or fashion, paraphrasing a little bit. And his response was simply, I want to win a national championship and I want to be a top 5 pick. And I even pressed him on it. I said, well, the ACC champion this year has an automatic bid into the college football playoff, and Duke won with you at quarterback the ACC championship last year. So, what makes you think it can't happen at Duke? And he said it's not about Duke. It's about what the last 2 quarterbacks have done at Miami as far as developing their NFL prospects. That's Cam Ward, who went number 1 overall, and Carson Beck, who was the second quarterback off the board this past year, and the rosters. And he looked at him and he thought he had a better chance at Miami. Like I said, it wasn't what I think, Duke fans will enjoy hearing, but it was very matter of fact. He just explained his thought process and is willing to deal with it.
It's meant what it meant to him. Tim Donnelly, Dennis Cox are in Charlotte for ACC Football Media Days today, tomorrow, and Friday at the Hilton downtown Charlotte, where all these coaches and all these things are popping through. I'll ask Dennis the follow-up here. As Miami offered Darian Mensah to everybody, it probably wasn't too surprising to you that they were trying to get him off the board and all those questions out of the way early.
Yeah, I think honestly we were probably his second interview, maybe. I think that we had this entire morning to start the day. So, when we booked this interview, I told him, hey, one of our stations is the flagship station for Duke athletics. We talked to Darian last year, so he knew, and Darian remembered us from last year. So he knew what was coming. And as Tim said, I think Tim phrased it perfectly. He was matter-of-fact with his answers. And as much as we can be upset or people may not like the way he transferred, he was honest about why he did. He's like, yeah, I want to win a national championship. You saw what their coaching staff did with Cam Ward being a number 1 overall pick, like what he did with Carson Beck as well, who was the first pick in the 3rd round. He wants to be a top 5 pick, and this gives him the best chance. And you know what? As Tim said, I kind of agree with Tim. As much as you don't want to like the process, you still got to like the guy. And he and also one of the things as well is that he owned, because Tim asked him, okay, what do you got to be a top 5 pick? He goes, there were too many times I felt like I gave away games last season at Duke. He owned that. Mm-hmm. He came out and said it himself. It's like, yeah, I had too many just careless mistakes with the football, turnovers, whatever it might be, and it cost us games at Duke. So it just, again, he's very open, very honest, and upfront, because he also mentioned this as well, Paul, was that he knows he's going to have these questions when he's in those draft rooms talking to coaches and scouts and general managers of teams when the draft comes along. He knows he's going to face these questions, and the fact that he was answering them honestly here only is going to help him come April next year.
That's the voice of Dennis Cox. He and Tim Donnelly, along with Adam Gold, Victoria Votenecker, all down in Charlotte. I say down. They're in Charlotte today and tomorrow and Friday for ACC Football Media Days as we get ready to kick off the new season. Part of today, obviously, ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips is going to talk about the state of the ACC as it exists today for the next 6 years. And also today is NC State. And so Tim and Dennis, and I know, Tim, you've got your questions prepped for NC State, and I know Wolfpack fans are going to be eager to hear from Dave Doran and CJ Bailey and the others that are going to be there. What's the tone that Dave needs to set today as he speaks to Wolfpack Nation? Again, this is more for kind of us and kind of get to know the group or whatever it is, but the things that he says today has to resonate with his fan base who time in and time out and year after year have to hear kind of the same narratives, right? Is he going to get the 10 wins? Is this a team that's going to contend for a championship? What kind of tone does Coach Doran need to set today to kind of set up Wolfpack Nation for a 2026 that, again, will have those same questions?
Well, first of all, I think we can hope until the cows come home that Dave Doran sets a different tone than he's set every other year. But he is nothing if not consistent. So I think we know the blue collar, hardworking, like that's the tone he's going to set. But if you're looking for something more as a State fan, I want to hear how they're putting this season on their quarterback. CJ Bailey, we already saw him bouncing around. We're scheduled to talk to him in a little bit. He is a big dude. He has a bright red suit on. He is not shying away from the moment. He has some red accents in his hair. Like he is a guy that appears ready for his close-up, which is a little different than in years past. Obviously, his freshman year, he was thrown into the deep end when Grayson McCall got hurt. Last year, his first year as the guy. This year, like I said, I think he's ready for his close-up. So if I'm Dave Doran, I'm letting everybody know we got one, right? Speaking of being a top draft pick, he might be one of those guys, and they're going to let him be the sink or swim player on their team this year.
Okay, so I look at Dennis, and Dennis is all about the fit check, and he knows the shoes and knows what knows what confidence looks like. So in years past, Dennis, as we've seen quarterbacks and linebackers and defensive tackles come through, and then you've seen them sit down with us. Does the look match the confidence that we believe CJ Bailey needs to have to succeed at State this season?
Oh, yeah. So something that Tim and I absolutely does. So there's something that Tim and I started a couple years ago coming here to ACC. We call it like, all right, who owned the room? Who's got that aura? Just like a gut and feel. There's two quarterbacks who have walked in this room so far who have given us that aura. Darian Mensah and CJ Bailey. Both like give off that like control the room, confidence, but also not to a point where it's like bodacious or boisterous, I should say. But so I think that's the bodacious. I know I'm watching Ninja Turtles a lot.
He put on a little bit of weight.
Like that. Well, and that's also the thing as well. Like CJ Bailey, like physically, you look at him like this guy bulked up. Like he bulked up a little bit. Again, this is just also him physically maturing. He's 20 years old, so he's still physically growing in that regard. But CJ Bailey, Darian Mensah, those two, and they walk into a room, you can see and feel their confidence when they walk in. But again, it's not in a way that is, hey, look at me. It's just who they are.
There are 17 ACC schools. I'm not counting Notre Dame as part of this, obviously. Only 6 have stuck with their same school. And for you to say that in terms of aura, and again, there's guys that will come in. You haven't seen Kevin Jennings yet from SMU, and Mason Heinschel at Pittsburgh is returning, and Saka Patelli at Cal. There aren't very many dudes who can create that kind of aura. So for CJ Bailey to step up, and again, you haven't heard him speak, but what does he need to say, Tim, to get people to believe that he is the man and is worthy of the red stripes and the red suit?
It's really an ownership thing. I want to hear how he's putting his imprint on the offense, how he has more autonomy at the line of scrimmage to change things if he needs to. I think it's a funny kind of just a fun fact underlying part of this year. They had a lot of transfers, right? Hollywood Smothers left, going to a big school. Terrell Anderson left, going to a big school. Noah Rogers left, going to a big school. The guys they replaced him with are CJ Bailey's like oldest friends. Davion Goss, a running back who came over from Carolina, and JoJo Trader, a wide receiver who came over from Miami. They played with CJ Bailey going back to when they were 8 or 9 years old. They're Pop Warner teammates. So you want to talk about putting your imprint on the offense. Like he's bringing in his best friends. He's surrounding himself with people that he trusts and knows, and he has to own that, right? Like I said, he is this sink or swim player for NC State this year. As he goes, they go.
Well, I think ACC fans getting ready to let them bark out some signals and let things go over here the next 3 days. Tim and Dennis are in Charlotte at the Hilton for ACC Football Media Days. Adam and Victoria will be there at noon today. Guys, appreciate the check-in. I know you've got a very busy morning. Make sure you grab a little coffee, a little breakfast, and get powered through.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, guys. Again, Tim and Dennis, the drive this afternoon, 3 to 6. I know they're getting set up for yet another interview. Adam and Victoria are there as well today from 12 to 3. We'll have full coverage of all the storylines and all the things that come out of Charlotte over the next 3 days.
I'm Max Goren with 3 things you need to know right now from 99.9 The Fan. The World Cup semifinals continue today at 3 o'clock when England faces off with Argentina in Atlanta. In yesterday's first semifinal, Spain set a World Cup record with their 6th clean sheet of the tournament, shutting down France's high-octane attack en route to a 2-0 victory. The MLB All-Star Game saw the biggest stars from the American and National Leagues facing off in Philadelphia last night, and the AL came out on top, shutting out the NL 4-0. Yankees outfielder Cody Bellinger won All-Star Game MVP for his 2-run single in the first inning. Today is the first day of ACC Kickoff from Charlotte, and 99.9 The Fan will be there for all the coverage on your favorite ACC football teams. Tune into the Adam Gold Show from 12 to 3 and The Drive from 3 to 6, both live from the Queen City today, right here on 99.9 The Fan. For all the latest news on your favorite teams, download the 99.9 The Fan app or visit 999thefan.com.
No show tomorrow or Friday. I am taking a little bit of a break to go do some community service work. I'll talk about that when I come back on Friday. No, it's not picking up trash on the side. I did not get thrown in jail or commit a felony. I just have to...
Not yet.
No, not yet. Not that I'm aware of, anyway. So be off tomorrow and Friday. So thanks for hanging out with us today. By the way, we got done talking with Tim and Dennis there. The ACC just put out a release that they've changed the football championship tiebreaker policy as the ACC moves to a 9-game conference schedule because there are 5 teams this season, because as they move to 9 games, there are 5 teams this season, which includes North Carolina, who will play 8 conference games in 2026. Everyone else will play 9, including 1 Power 4 non-conference opponent. And then starting in 2027, the ACC will result in one institution playing 8-game conference schedules on a rotating basis. That school will be required to schedule 2 Power 4 non-conference opponents. Everyone else will play 9 conference games, including 1 Power 4. So you can still schedule the D2 schools or the group of 6 schools, but with the ACC moving to a 9-game conference schedule, they're going to move forward with different scheduling, and the updated tiebreakers basically suggesting that head-to-head results will always matter the most. And the team with the strongest overall body of work will earn the opportunity to compete for the championship and the conference automatic qualifier to the CFP. They simulated this 10,000 times, apparently. I'm guessing they just ran it through the big IBM computer that they used to launch the Apollo mission or something. Or maybe they just did College Football 27 and said, simulate the season. And they were like, really? Boston College won 12 times. Anyway, so that's where they're at. All right, some news in the NHL this morning. Not involving the Carolina Hurricanes. We are awaiting late that we will get the opening night nod for the Carolina Hurricanes when they will get to have their banner-raising ceremony.
It certainly feels like they're going to play the Panthers, right? Like, is it crazy to say that?
Florida, Philadelphia, I've heard, is in the mix as well, that it could be them.
Are we playing at 7? Are we playing at 5 p.m.? What's the deal here?
Yeah.
Like, ESPN's going to want some kind of double, triple, quadruple header on opening night.
We're hearing triple header on opening night.
That makes sense. So the first game will probably be at like 5 o'clock. So we'll see if that's. Hopefully they wouldn't put the Stanley Cup champions at 5 p.m.
With a 2 o'clock West Coast time start.
I think surely they'd be with the new daylight savings time, that could be a whole nother wrench in that as well. But I feel like they'd be right smack dab in the middle of any triple header, right? But like, what game do you put in that like 4:30, 5 o'clock time slot?
That's a Canada game, dude. That's a Toronto or a Montreal kind of thing.
Gavin McKenna first NHL game at 5 p.m.
A Toronto with McKenna out west and Austin Matthews playing. That wouldn't be terrible. So we're supposed to get word on that at some point later today. The full schedule comes out tomorrow at 1:00. Just you could put a little calendar notification, set your alarm on your phone, or tell your smart speaker to remind you. Those are the things that are coming down. So hopefully we get that Hurricanes news later today. No news on Alexander Nikishin, has not been signed. Ronan Seeley is still up for arbitration, although we now keep seeing more and more players reach deals. At this point, the Penguins have signed Nick Robertson to a 2-year contract, so he's avoiding arbitration. 3.25. Last year with the Leafs, he was 16 goals, 16 assists. So he's good. He's good to go. We're still waiting. Again, Ronan Seeley, who's asking for $10 million from the Carolina Hurricanes. I say that in jest, but I'm not sure what you're going to get out of that. Steve Yzerman, Max pointed this out to me during the break, is no longer the Red Wings general manager. He's being kicked, I guess, upstairs or sideways. I don't know quite how this works.
Yeah, into like a special analyst position, something like that. It was, they announced it as a leadership transition, and they're searching for their new GM.
So is this a kind of like, does this, having new blood, does this kind of settle down the Dylan Larkin deal? Because you really can't do a lot if you're the Red Wings to kind of move on or move forward if your captain doesn't want to play there anymore.
Well, to me, this signals, I think, probably more likely that he gets moved, just because he was pretty publicly saying, like, you're under contract. Like, I'm willing to just kind of not move you and, see you at training camp in September. But now that they'll have some kind of interim or they'll hire a new general manager, I'm sure sooner rather than later, because you don't want to fall behind in terms of the NHL and getting your roster. I mean, they haven't been to the playoffs in like 10 years.
Right.
So there's going to be a sense of urgency to kind of get things turned around, and that kind of starts with your culture, and you don't really want to have a captain that doesn't want to play there. So I feel like this signals probably a more likely move for Dylan Larkin. His question now is just, where does he want to go? Because apparently his list is quite small, and what's it going to take to make that deal happen?
Senior advisory role. That feels like there's an exit coming for that. I mean, it is very significant. It does play into the NHL trade wins for sure. I mean, he's a legend there, and I think that's probably why it's not an outright firing. His banner, his number hangs. He's a Hockey Hall of Famer, and unfortunately, just didn't quite work out in the front office for him. And again, for Red Wings fans, they're like, it's about freaking time at this point. But he did bring him a cup, and there's a lot of things that go along with that. This morning, free agency signing. This one's pretty big because it does involve the Eastern Conference. The New Jersey Devils have signed Anthony Mantha to a 2-year, $9.5 million year. So a $9.5 million deal. The cap hit is 4.75. The Devils, who made the play, who want to maximize their moments here, it's certainly notable because they have traded players away to try to create cap space. But this is an analytical. As soon as I heard about this, I said this is a great analytical signing, because for that number, and last year Mantha, and again he played top line minutes for Pittsburgh with, Sidney Crosby high, 33 goals. 33 goals, 64 points, and played a full season. Was not hurt. Had a full, healthy season, played in the first round, and you can't teach the size, right? 6'5". Played for half the money last year, $2.5 million. He's a journeyman, there's no doubt about it. He's been around for a while. Kind of has that Taylor Hall kind of career trajectory and career arc without, obviously, the Hart Trophy. But all he has to do for this money, and think about the numbers that have been thrown around in free agency so far, and I always come up with Jack Drury, who signed with the Nashville Predators for $4.5 million and didn't have nearly the scoring totals that Mantha had. Mantha really has to score 2 goals. 2 goals for the New Jersey Devils, and it's a great deal. I mean, a better deal would be for him to score 10. But an absolutely healthy season last year and 33 goals, yeah. The bar is so low on this contract.
He's got some really good finishing, goal-scoring ability, and advanced analytics kind of like his game as well. It's just a question of if he can kind of bring it in the playoffs and not kind of float around a little bit. So Kind of a high upside deal for New Jersey, and
Playing that Timo Meyer line.
Should be a nice middle six pickup for New Jersey.
Go. I'm like, I wouldn't not hating that deal at all.
They're trying to make it back in. I assume they're going to bounce back into the playoffs this season, but it's all health matters, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's all about health, but that's significant. That's a significant deal, and another big dude that the Carolina Hurricanes blue liners are going to have to deal with, and New Jersey tends to give them fits from time to time.